In 3, and 2, and 1. Hit it, Ryan.
It's time for bed, oh, it's time for you. Mom and Dad says what you gotta do. We don't care if you ain't tired. Take it from the one whom you so admired. It's bedtime for Ella Missy. Don't you cry or go and hiss it. No more games and no running around, 'cause we don't wanna hear another sound. Just take your bell and get tucked in, and don't make us swear again and again and again.
All right. Thank you, Ryan, for that awesome intro. It warms my heart to see that song all the time.
We love the Manny. We love the Manny.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, Mamas. The real raw deal with navigating a lighthearted approach to our special needs life. I am Carly, the special needs mama, with my bestie, Nikki.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
So I was doing a little exploring this week about podcasts to see how we could get an edge on things. And you want to know what I discovered, Nick?
What did you discover, Carly?
People talk too long about one topic. I mean, I was listening to a nutrition podcast and this dude was talking about how he had an obsession with a cracker on the middle of the table at a restaurant for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And I was like, on with it already. So we just can't let that happen when we are doing our podcast, okay?
Yeah, I think we could even do something as simple as like a wrap it up signal, because I'm able to see Carly. We are
Right.
Zooming. And so we'll try to stay on each other to ensure that this podcast flows a bit more than some of the others we've been listening to, where people are stuck in their very, very sad, serious voice.
The sad, serious stuff. And the other thing I noticed, Nick, was the name of the podcast. If your name is on the podcast, unless I know you, I don't care to listen to you, really, is what's pulling me in about your podcast. So I do think the name of our podcast needs to be, grab you and say, listen to me, right?
Yeah. Listen to me more, come back.
Yes, come back.
Again.
It's true. So I'm thinking I like Podcast Mamas, the lighthearted approach to navigating a special needs life, because far too often what we see out there is some real depressing stuff. And yes, life is hard. Life can be hard for anyone, with whether you have special needs in your life or not. But listening to like the dreary and heart aching stories of some things, I mean, granted that does exist and there's a place for that, but I just want our approach in our podcast to take some of that stuff and try and see the positive, see the funny in it, and laugh at ourselves. I have to laugh at myself a lot each day, or I would just be drinking a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
Which you still do.
Which I still do.
Speaking of, how is the first week of Lent going?
Oh, well, so I gave up sweets, swearing, and I want to do an act of kindness each week of sending flowers to someone. Typically, I give up sweets, swearing, and spirits. I decided against that, and I'm keeping my spirits about me. Yes, I am.
That's good for everyone, though. I don't, obviously Lent is meant to be a time of sacrifice, but, you also want to keep your family members sane and alive too. And I think to give up too much, or
that's right. Don't be overzealous.
The spirits could really do it.
Exactly. And I had a lot of spirits and wine here this past weekend, so it would have been very challenging to make that kind of a sacrifice. I'm all about being reasonable with my sacrifices.
It's not a Lenten contest.
That's right. How about you? How are you doing over there with your Lenten season?
I am doing okay. I gave up swearing. That is, I'm still doing it, but maybe doing it a little bit less. And just being more self-aware about it. But again, I need the people that surround me to
Yes.
change their behavior as well. So to give up swearing, other people have to give up acting like idiots.
And being a trigger.
Right. They trigger me. They do. They do. So
I
yeah, we are doing good over here. Thank you.
Oh, good. Good, good, good. So I'm glad that you know what? I love this week too in March because do you know what it is? Do you know what it is, Nick?
I feel like it was a special month. Something with Ella.
Yep. So this what is it? Friday, March 11th marks the 7-year anniversary of Ella's Make-A-Wish experience. So Ella has special needs because she has a chromosome deletion, which we've talked about in the previous couple of episodes. But on top of Ella's chromosome deletion, she was diagnosed with severe pulmonary hypertension in 2013 when she was only 9. Uh, and that was just like another log on the fire. Let's just make it really hot over at the Parkhill house, right? Um, so because of the pulmonary hypertension, it qualified her to be a wish kid. And I was very much against that whole thing because to me, if you're a wish kid, it means you're going to die. It just kind of created a certain stigma for me. But that is not true. That is the furthest thing from the truth about Make-A-Wish. In case listeners, you didn't know this, Make-A-Wish is actually for children 18 and under who have chronic disease that they may overcome. Many children have certain types of cancers that they have beaten. Many children have nervous system disorders that they are able to live with. It does not absolutely mean that they are going to pass on. So it is comforting, and it was a wonderful experience for Ella to be a wish kid. And even more challenging with Ella is, you could walk up to most children and say, hey, you've got heart problem, but what do you want your wish to be? Because you get one. And some kids will say they want an experience with a celebrity. Some kids might say they want a shopping spree, or they want, some sort of makeover to their home. Well,
or they want to go to Disney World,
yes,
or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Ella, as you know, because of her chromosome deletion, her speech intelligibility is not great. So how can you come up with a wish for a child that you can't understand, that cannot communicate well? So we had a wish team come out and meet us on several occasions. And a couple things we know about Ella is that she loves music and dancing. And as a family, we love basketball because both of our sons have played basketball throughout their lives. And I had the idea of Ella going to New York City to see the Rockettes and have that experience. But the travel for her is very challenging. She has to wear oxygen on an airplane. You just never know how her immune system's going to function going to different climates and blah, blah, blah. So we eliminated the travel idea, and instead, our wish team came up with the idea for Ella to be a Phoenix Suns dancer. Phoenix Suns dancer. She has been the only one to date, and that was in 2000, 7 years ago, 2015. So, and it was an incredible experience. We had 150 family and friends go down on 2 buses to the Suns Arena and cheer her on. They all had Ella Make-A-Wish t-shirts and posters and balloons, and we just filled up I think it was, what was it called at the time? I can't even remember, but the Suns basketball arena. It's changed names so many times, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it was incredible. And what's even more incredible is that she actually did it, because her rehearsing with the dancers was very different than her being, right in the middle of the court and thousands of people watching at halftime, and her being on the news. And we just sat there on the sidelines praying, praying that she would do the dance. And the song that they used was a montage of 7 of her favorite songs, and created by their DJ, the Suns DJ that they use. So now imagine.
Part of it. I forgot that part. Okay.
So now imagine all the dancers are crouched down, and they've got their pom-poms, and they're ready to go up with their hands in a big V and jump up onto their feet. And I'm sitting on the sidelines, literally doing a Hail Mary. Please, Ella, do the dance. Please, Ella, do the dance. So we're holding our breath. We're waiting for this moment for the music to start. The music kicks off, and everyone jumps up into the V. And then maybe 2 to 3 seconds later, Ella jumps up on her feet with her hands in the air, and the entire crowd in the auditorium gets on their feet, and they're screaming because she goes off and does the whole routine with the cheerleaders. It was something pretty freaking special to see. And it still blows my mind when I see all of those Facebook memories come up, that's little teeny tiny girl, because she was so tiny back then, be able to do this. But yeah, this is our anniversary 7 years ago on this Friday. So pretty cool.
That was incredible. And during that time, I got to learn a lot about Make-A-Wish. I agree not to carry on about this, but I think that I really did think it was more for more kind of like terminal illnesses, yes, if you will. And so since then, I feel like um, I've learned more about Make-A-Wish. That organization is just absolutely fantastic in terms of what they do for these children and their families, and really coming up with an experience that matters, that the families love, that is special. And even, we talk about in all of this, like, how do you find gratitude and how do you give back? I was thinking, even look at how you have then turned it into doing your the turkey trot or the walk you do on Thanksgiving. How about that for Make-A-Wish?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's very true. So it takes $10,000 on average to grant a wish. And so ever since Ella's wish, I have hosted this turkey trot. It's a 5K and a 10K run in our community in North Scottsdale. And we have about 400 people that actually come out and participate. And we raise around 10,000. Usually we go over that, which is incredible, to grant a wish for another child. And that's been a pretty cool addition to our lives ever since becoming a part of the Make-A-Wish family. I can't say enough about it. So, and the trot every year, something kind of elevates a little bit too, which is pretty cool. Most recently, I decorate the entire race course with posters of Wish Kids. So up to probably 50 posters. So 50 different Wish Kids along the trail of that you're running, and you get to look at them and see the joy in their faces as they're having their wishes granted. And that really resonates, obviously, with the community and helps us raise the money in order to grant that wish. So it's been a pretty cool experience. So we should get back to where we probably left off with our last podcast, in the journey of the story of Ella and her being born in late August of 2004. And then the next big event that came after that was the baptism, Ella getting
Right.
baptized. Now, I don't think you knew this, Nikki, but Ella, we had a priest come to the hospital to baptize Ella before she even left because she was in the hospital for 2 weeks before she got to leave the NICU. And we were worried. We didn't know if she was going to make it because her chromosome abnormality was so rare and we had such little information on it. We had her baptized actually in the hospital, but the ceremony at the church and the celebration afterwards came in October when you and our other dear friend Jolene came to visit.
Yes, yes. And so that was kind of it wasn't kind of, it was my first time meeting Ella. And equally important, and I think we've talked about this before, my first time seeing you since she was born. So I had kind of been, you know,
In the dark.
trying to support you
Right.
from afar
From
in
the
the
dark.
under a rock um during that time. So that was, obviously a super special time for me to be coming out there as well.
Right, right. And I think what was really therapeutic, well, it was therapeutic from the beginning to the end, but we had a moment where we got to go out and kind of celebrate her life and celebrate you guys being there, coming all the way from Chicago. And then the margaritas happened.
Yeah, I that day for me really, I think we kind of looked at each other at one point and we're like, I thought we were grown up because at that point, like, you were kind of the first of us to have a child, I mean, us, our other friend Jolene was there. I didn't have any children yet, nor did she. And so here we are, like, our friend has had this baby, and here we are, literally drunk on margaritas at a strip mall restaurant, like needing to call your dad to pick you up. It's
Because
like,
there was no Uber.
right, life had really come full circle. It was like, we're grown up, or are we?
Are we?
Like,
Right.
was here we are. So yeah, it was good. I mean, I do think in some sense for you that was a very kind of cathartic, like, release,
Yeah.
um, to kind of go out, be with your friends, cut loose,
Yeah, well, I mean,
take.
that was probably the first joyful moment I had had because up to that point it was extremely stressful, and I probably had some postpartum stuff, but it was it helped a ton to have you and Jolene there for me to be um, just get back to who I was before because I've always been a pretty joyful person. And this was, I mean, I was pretty depressed for a while, just trying to overcome all the fear of bringing up this special little baby. And so then we had a journey home from our Margarita Fest with my poor dad, who is probably reliving us being in high school because that's all he did was drive us around when we were in high school until we were able to do it ourselves. And and then we get home and we didn't want the party to stop at the restaurant. So we kept,
We're not done. We were not done.
we weren't done. We just weren't done. And I mean, I vaguely remember us being in the hot tub and Chad's older brother being there because he's Ella's godfather. And of course, my dad was bopping around. Did you forget about Brent being there?
I did. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. Why did I what was I talking about the size of Chad's penis? I can't remember. Chad, my husband, nobody else. Why was I talking about? Because then I remember my head being pushed under the water in the hot tub because Brent was there, my dad was there, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about the size of Chad's penis. And I'm not sure why. I can't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't, I don't even feel like it was sexual in nature. Not that I know why else you would talk about your husband's penis, but there was really no good reason except kind of like a rambling,
Yeah.
again, a cathartic release of just, and that was what was also fun. If there's anything to give gratitude about that point in your life, which I know at moments felt so dark and and difficult for you was you had this hall pass to say and do whatever you wanted. It was really kind of interesting. It was like, she's been dealing with a lot. Like,
Let her go. Just
no,
let her get drunk.
no matter what she said, did, or drank, everything was acceptable. So it was fun. I mean, it was super fun.
That was,
And
yeah,
I was definitely a little bit hungover for the morning of the baptism.
that's
I
true.
can remember, yeah, I remember just sitting up and looking at Jolene and saying, wow, I've got to do this. We're doing this thing.
Got to get up to the altar.
But yeah, I mean, I just remember it was a wonderful weekend. We were kind of celebrating her life, and something that I don't think a lot of people get the experience of doing is, you picture like celebrating someone's life, like maybe after years or whatever. This was like, here we were, truly celebrating. People can say that all they want about, oh, we're celebrating the baby's life at their baptism, but this really truly was that. It was
No, you're
a
right.
celebration of even just like perseverance in this short little time, in this tiny little body, and so to think here we are all these years later,
I
you know
know. Oh my
talking about
gosh.
it. I don't know that I thought we'd be sitting here talking about this.
That's true. That's very, very true. That we were grateful to God that she was alive, that she did not have a life-threatening illness, that, we didn't know what her path would be, but we knew it would definitely be different than a typical path. And lots of unknowns, but she was alive. And that was in itself a gift and a big, big reason to celebrate. And I remember thinking after that, so then, roll in the holidays, obviously after October and stuff. And I was going back to Chicago to see all of you guys and family and stuff. And I was scared to death and again faced with this situation where our other friend Gina had her son just in October. So now Ella was 2 months older than him, and we were all meeting for the first time, seeing each other for the first time. And he's, obviously a typical boy. He's only a couple months old. Ella's 4 months old and could not even do the things, did not make the milestones that my friend's son was making at only 2 months. And he was double the size in his big furry snowball outfits that she put him in. So I remember that being a big challenge for me. And I'm sure a lot of other moms out there, you get into these mom groups and you see your friends that you've been friends with for so long and they start having babies. And here you are with a baby that's, I mean, I hate to say broken, but it's like you have this best God-given toy in the world and it doesn't work right like everybody else's toy. Or and it just was so hard for me to be a part of a world and a part of a circle where my little girl couldn't do things that other babies could do. And I really had to try and overcome that. And I will tell you one thing my father-in-law said that really hit home with me, and I've since like kind of scolded him about since, because I was, at the end of the day, whenever your child has a problem, who suffers? The mother. The mother's going to be the one that suffers 10,000 times more than the child does, right? We always say this. My father-in-law had said to me, because I was so upset about being a part of things with Ella, that he didn't think that it bothered Ella. And I was like, well, how dare you say that? How dare you say that it doesn't bother Ella? Because, clearly it didn't bother Ella. It was all about me. And that was the lesson that I took from that, was that it was always all about my fear, my emotions, and I needed to overcome that in order to give her a better life. And that was a big challenge. I'm sure it's a big challenge for any mother, that you're scared to go out into the world and present your baby that's got special needs. You're scared to be a part of things. And yet here I am, and she's 17, and I've had to be so brave But because of my bravery and Ella's bravery, obviously, she's had such an enriched life. So I think that, we've recorded probably enough for today, and maybe we should leave it at that. But to give thanks for a really, really wonderful community to raise our special needs kids in. And that has been a reason to be thankful. Because without people like you, Nick, and wonderful friends out there who make things not seem so um, different, you're just very thankful for that. So I guess we leave off there.
Great. Well, thank you again, Carly, for sharing your story today. So I think this was a lot of good stuff today.
Yeah, I think that this was. I think that this was. So with that, I'm going to close out with Ryan's little jig, the lullaby that he wrote for Ella because she does not like to go to sleep. And when we hang up here, I'm going to go run through the house and see where Ella is, because that is the other joy that I have, is looking behind every corner to find out what she's gotten into. So without further ado, let's hit it, Ryan.
Take it from the one whom you so admired. It's been